Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole Sports Show. I'm Jake Hart. With me, as always, you have Preston Poole 405, and Chris Baker at Rabbit Hole. So this week was, and at the Baker's here. Almost forgot. I had to slip it in there real quick. Last week was interesting. I attended the game. There was a lot of crazy things going on. I kind of wish I had a little TV to watch the OU game. The only thing that would load for me is the little play-by-play. So I was stressing out about that game, and a lot of crazy things happened. You guys good? Just me jump into straight Oklahoma State. What happened?
Yeah, real quick. You guys just be if you guys don't remember last week, Jake had to leave the show early, and his little, not punishment, but if you're going to leave the show early, you got to do something to follow it up the following week. Right. So Jake opened up the show. Jake, that was a good job. Seriously. That was great.
I will say though, I did see the little punch at Mike Gundy in the whole milk controversy. There you go. There you go. I saw that. I understand what he meant by it. I think what he meant by it is that it's hard nowadays to eat healthy and gain weight and to be as big. The thing is that you can eat healthy, do all these things, and gain a bunch of size that's unnatural. And if you're unnaturally big, your tendons and everything don't grow the same with you, and you tend to get hurt. And that's why he believes injuries are prevalent today.
That's also similar to the line of thinking that we typically talk about every now and then with the nutrition and the equipment that athletes have nowadays is totally different than what it was back in the day. If you think 40 years ago, they didn't track specifically. It's probably most relatable to track athletes. They didn't have the track shoes they have nowadays. And those probably help. So, imagine if Jesse
Owens.
Jesse Owens. I was blanking on his name for a second. Jesse Owens had the track shoes they have nowadays that Usain Bolt had. Imagine how much faster he would have ran, the nutrition and stuff, and the medical side, all that.
Yeah, and in this state, half of them were going home on their free time and baling hay and working on the farm and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So.
Well, I think it's kind of an argument.
Real quick,
it's like.
Oh, it's real quick.
The whole...
Subscribe to the show. I need to get that in there. Subscribe to the show. Just do that. It really does help everyone that's been watching. We got to give a shout out. I want to get this shout out to, I don't know his name, but the dude on Twitter that is the coach at Pitt State.
Oh, Cole.
That was actually impressive when he was like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me see." And then he listed off 2 players that had 100 receiving yard games. They had a huge comeback. They said, packed the stadium. Shout out Pitt State. Awesome win. That sounds awesome. I didn't watch the highlights, but that sounded the way he put it sounded awesome. So shout out to you guys up there, and hope for your continued success. But yeah, subscribe to the show. It really does help. Everyone that's interacting on Twitter, it really does freaking help. And we appreciate all of you guys. Jake, back to it. Sorry that I cut you off. Get back right into it. But we had to get that plug in there.
Yeah, I think I was going to make the kind of like the Babe Ruth reference of that. Babe Ruth was fat, overweight, alcoholic. If he was healthy, what kind of numbers would he put in and everything like that? But anyway,
he's the freaking Dollar General version of Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Right. That dude's blasting off this year and throwing heaters down the center.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, you do that, you put unnatural weight on, you're going to get injuries because your tendons just can't hold up. But speaking of injuries, that's, I think, what the difference was for Oklahoma State this week. I think the thing is that we opened up the playbook. Tay Martin came back, showed how big of a difference that was. We exploded for 31 points in the first half. We did let up a kick return to the house, which that was pretty bad, but we got it back with the cheap fumble.
That always stinks.
Yeah. Special teams is one of those things that nobody gives it credit or anything when good things happen, but you get blasted when things go wrong.
Jake, imagine speaking of kickoff returns or kick returns or whatever, the biggest return as long as a return as you can have, 109 yards happened in the Jacksonville, Arizona game this weekend. So shout out to that guy, because that was pretty freaking crazy to watch. It was insane to see that. They sent him out for 66 or 68 yards. It's short, and then he takes it to the house. That was insane. But yeah, that's got to be a pretty big feeling. What do you think? You guys had K-State, which Preston, I don't know if you see representing
on the schedule.
We're going. You guys play K-State, right? This coming weekend.
Yeah, it's not showing up too well on my screen, but I also have purple going. Maybe just mix some things up. Get some.
Yeah, to me it looks a little
going,
blue for you.
Yeah,
it looks blue for you, but I hope that looks purple to you guys. Jake, how did you feel about your guys' game overall this past weekend? I mean, you guys actually, I think they covered the over under. You guys actually had an offensive showing of sorts. What do you think of that past game and then heading into Baylor? Because that's a pretty big game for you guys. You guys are now top 25 matchup right there.
Yeah. I think Kansas State came in pretty hot. I think looking forward, Baylor is red hot. Like they just came off of beating Iowa State, and that's a whole nother thing. But back to the K-State game, Iowa State
isn't that good this year.
Yeah. And I don't know. This week, it was kind of weird we started off so great, but we had so many opportunities to just blow the doors off. We were up 21 points with the ball with, 2 minutes before halftime or a minute 30 or something like that. Could go down, score, got the ball after half, scored. We could have been up 4 or 5 possessions in the game. And somehow, again, this is the second week where we haven't scored a point in the second half. But also, we haven't let the opponent score a point in the second half. So as long as we're leading by halftime, we're doing pretty good. And so
it's like you have the offensive is on, and then my phone was ringing. You have offense on, and then defense was off, and then at halftime they're like, "All right, you guys take a break. You guys turn on. Let's go." And that's kind of the same with you guys, Preston. I mean, OU is just not doing anything in the second half.
Yeah, they're not doing anything the whole entire game. So, to be fair, they're not doing anything the whole game.
The spread for me.
Ugh, terrible.
But Baylor, I mean, Jake, you guys are top 25 matchup now. I mean, that's pretty big. You guys are 4-0. I mean, Big 12 is kind of in your sights right now.
Yeah. Not to get too far ahead, but Baylor, I mean, man, it's really the next 3 games for us will decide everything. It's Baylor, Texas, Iowa State. If we can get all those back to back to back, that'll be basically our entire season. Everybody else should be, Texas Tech's not looking great. Kansas obviously is pretty garbage. So, the thing is that these next 3 weeks, and it's kind of progressively, I think if we can get past Baylor, it's hard to tell right now how great Baylor is. I think the thing is Baylor's just playing super well at the moment. They're red hot, and we'll see what happens. K-State it was interesting though. Will Howard played, and then Will Howard kind of got hurt, and there's a lot of ups and downs and lulls in that game. But I'm kind of interested to hear Preston's on West Virginia, because I was trying to watch the game, couldn't see it as much. I knew that West Virginia somehow scored, got a false start, and then they threw in the back of the end zone to a 6'3" wide receiver, and he dropped the ball, and there was kind of back and forth, and then your kicker saved the day, apparently.
Yeah, no, one of the best kickers in the country. But my thoughts on the OU West Virginia is everyone's putting the blame on Spencer Rattler, and deservedly so. He didn't play great last week against West Virginia, but that offensive line played absolutely terrible. They didn't block anyone during that game, and there was some other plays where receivers didn't run the right route. That interception that Rattler threw, I believe one of the receivers didn't run the correct route or something like that, which caused the defensive back to be able to go over and cover Stoops on that throw. But all around, thank God that Alex Grinch has turned the defense around in Norman, because good Lord, the only win they could have right now would be Western Carolina if that defense wasn't playing up to the ability that they are right now. Because Saturday, I haven't seen a game that low scoring in Norman, I think, ever in my entire life.
Yeah, Preston, what do you think of the fans? What was your take on that?
I mean, the thing is, the fans don't know any better than, there's a reason they're sitting in the stands, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I agree.
Here's the thing. If Lincoln Riley knew Caleb Williams could run the offense better than Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams would be out there playing quarterback right now.
I agree 100%. I think if he thought, we have a better chance with him, he would 100% go to him. Clearly he doesn't. Now, that could also be the wrong thing. If Spencer never pans out and he never turns things around, and then all of a sudden he does bring in Caleb Williams and he just immediately shines, it's like, what do you say then?
Well, the thing is, like, you have the offensive line playing the way it is right now.
Yeah,
anyone that's in at quarterback is going to, anyone that's in at quarterback is going to be having issues because they're going to be running for their lives and they're not going to have time to let receivers get open downfield. And that's why you're not seeing the big plays, as well as defenses are taking that away from Oklahoma this year. They just simply don't have the time to let the play develop and receivers get downfield. And so that's why you have the efficiency numbers that Rattler has right now, because he's taken what the defense is giving him when he has the chance to do that. And that's why you have the offense playing the way it is. It all comes from the offensive line. If the offensive 100%. Line is not playing well, then your offense is not going to be playing well.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I agree 100%. Are you?
I think they had like 50 rushing yards, I think, versus West Virginia, and that's something that I don't think has ever happened at OU. I mean, maybe in the 90s.
You just can't have that when you're trying to be like this dominant offense. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. I mean, that offensive line is key, especially for a quarterback like Spencer Rattler. I mean, really any quarterback, but like they're just not playing up to the potential, or actually the standard, I should say. I don't really know what their potential is, I guess, because what should it be? But all right, what's your thoughts on K-State coming in? Or are you guys going up to Manhattan? Like, that's going to be a tough game. I mean, if you guys lose that, that's 3 straight in a year. I mean, and it's, dude, Jake, I don't know about you, but I think that's going to fucking hit. I think K-State's taking that game. I think it's just like all signs are pointing to it. Like K-State just like over the years are just, they never get anything done, but they get these few things done. And this is one of them that they're just cashing in on year after year. I think they're going to cash in on it again this year. And it's going to be all signs point to OU losing that game. It's just everything's lining up to that. Yeah. You guys are bound to lose this year.
My thing is Lincoln Riley usually has his team ready to play on the road. I think he's only lost like 2 or 3 road games his whole entire career at OU. One of those being at K-State 2 years ago. But the big thing is there's the starting quarterback, Skylar Thompson, looks like he's not going to play, not going to be ready to come back. And that's who really has killed OU the last 2 years playing them. I'd still, you got to be nervous about this game if you're an OU fan. You have to be. There's
100%.
You can't be going into this game thinking, oh yeah, OU's going to go out and dominate. You have to be nervous.
No, you got it's such a like, this is the one game the last 2 years that you guys have been like, nah, this is a lock where each and every time the last 2 years, it's just, you guys lose. And it's finally like, all right, is this a thing that happens to us now? Like Jake always says, Texas always has trouble with OSU. It's the one team that they just absolutely struggle with for some reason, but they can put up with you guys. They can, they can shove Texas Tech down, throats down there, whatever, you know what I'm saying? K-State might be that for you guys, and they might be that mediocre team that's just going to beat you year after year. You might get one here and there, but they're going to beat you year after year as long as Chris Kleiman's there.
No, and it's been that way ever since Snyder took over back in, I don't even, was like the 80s or 90s. Whenever he took over, it kind of has been like, not a rivalry, but it's been a good like game every single year. I think I remember one year OU went up and beat him like 55-0. But other than that, it's been, a close game every single year.
Jake, what are your thoughts on that game going into this weekend? Because that's, like I just mentioned, you usually compare yourselves to Texas, and I see Kansas State becoming that for OU.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it, the obvious things, the 0-2, Kleinman, he always draws some stuff up. We kind of saw in the little second half of our game of, they're like almost like, okay, OU's next week, time to like run some of these little tricky plays. That I formation is dangerous that they have, but it's going to be a tough game. I'm not going to say too much because I'm going to save it for they might be in my picks. So I might have a little juicy stuff at the end of the segment, but
so stick around and listen. So
yeah, stick around for that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's kind of like what happened with the Dolphins when they beat the Patriots twice and they went like 2-14. Like they just got destroyed by everybody, and then they beat the Patriots twice, and it didn't make any sense. So I think it's that kind of scenario. It makes me nervous. I think it's either going to be a K-State win, or I think this is the chance for OU to really open things up, because that secondary last week was not looking good. There was a lot of open receivers downfield.
So I still have nightmares of those damn slant routes. Those were the worst. If it wasn't for those slant routes, everything would have been fine. It's just they left the middle of the field open so bad against West Virginia. It was terrible.
Dude, West Virginia money line plus 660 almost fucking hit. But at least I took them. I also took them. Well, actually, they were one of my picks last week, and I went 2-1. Actually, we'll go around. Might as well go around and tell everyone, what you went. I went 2-1. West Virginia hit. I can't remember Notre Dame. I think I had NC State. I had NC State covering Clemson, I think. Anyway, I went 2-1. Preston, you talk about your picks, Jake, and then I want to get into some of these past weekend's games because I'm ready to talk about them.
Obviously, I was an idiot and took Oklahoma minus 16.5 versus West Virginia. That one missed terribly. I think there was barely 16.5 points scored the whole entire game. I took Bama versus Southern Miss over 58. That hit. And then I took OSU minus 6 versus K-State, and that hit. So I went 2-1. So not too bad. If I wouldn't have been a homer on one pick, then I probably could have went 3-0, but it is what it is.
So what's your record overall?
7-6.
7-6. Yeah, I'm 8-7. Jake, what'd you go? Because I know you're 3-6 overall.
Yeah. So I hit 2. We all did the same. I went 2-1. So 5-7. So I'm 5-7 overall. But I had game day Wisconsin minus 6. That blew up in my face a little bit.
Bro, obviously, real quick. That's one of the games I want to talk about real quick. That is, I hate that for Wisconsin. That box score looks so bad for Wisconsin because they got 31 points in the final 14 minutes, and like 2 of those touchdowns were such bogus, like chain of events that score does Wisconsin dirty. It does them dirty. So I just had to get that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I got hosed on that pick, but I did pick West Virginia. Obviously, we talked about that game, and another game that you chirped me on Twitter about. I took LSU minus 2.5 versus Mississippi State, and that ended up being good.
As soon as I said fucking Mississippi State sucks. Like they're getting they fucking make a comeback. And I was like, I almost wanted to say something, tweet something out like, damn, they're making a comeback. Maybe they could do this. And your buddy, I think Preston, tweeted at me and I was like, yeah, I guess, I'm sorry. I kinda. and then they started coming back and I was like, oh, I might have a chance to clap back at these guys.
Yeah.
But no, Jake, I had to tell you to shut up because you just drank. Jake, you wait. It's almost like you sat there and then we're like, well, we'll see how the game plays out. And then as soon as you felt comfortable with that game being done, you were like, see that game? No, I am comfortable. And I was like, shut up. But yeah, that game was crazy. The Arkansas
I just feel like
game,
Coach O there's so much pressure on O to perform of that. If you start losing games like this, like the hot seat starts becoming an inferno.
Yeah.
And you might lose your job quick.
And you're right. I mean, I think this whole season is kind of like, is the hot seat going to be for real for Coach O or not? Because he might be able to skate by with it being a little warm, but if they turn that bitch up, if he would have lost, they would have turned. I mean, he would have had to, right? Because it's just been, it's already been there out in the open. I wanted to shout out freaking Kenny out in North Carolina. If you know who I'm talking about. If you see this, NC State beating Clemson. I was out in North Carolina with my girlfriend this past summer. Met this guy, and just talking sports, and I was like, dude. I want 3 things this season to happen. North Carolina State beating Clemson was one of them. I was like, dude, if you could just fucking throw some good juju out and get them a win, that'd be great. And they took them to overtime and got a win. I was able to get North Carolina State at the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, or actually it was right after the fourth quarter before the overtime started. I was able to pick up North Carolina State for plus 175. That was the easiest thing. You knew they almost fucked themselves at the end. But once
that Clemson receiver, he didn't even try to catch that ball in the end zone on that final play.
Exactly.
I think he could have caught that, and he just basically just let it drop. And I was like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. And once it went to overtime, it was I knew Clemson would win. I felt it in my gut. I was like, they're going to win this game. It's almost how I feel for OU this weekend. You guys have been struggling enough where you got to lose. For Ohio State, that happened against Oregon. We lost to a ranked team. I don't know. Is Kansas State ranked this week?
No, they were last week. When we played them, they were.
Won't
but
matter.
We
Won't
dropped
matter.
them out.
Won't matter. So that's how I feel for OU is like, I just feel like this is a game where you're bound to lose. Clemson was bound to lose. Again, I know they lost against Georgia, but that was such a close game and that was such a great game. They're just bound to lose again. I just felt it. And so I had to take North Carolina State. Auburn, I wanted to put this game out there. Auburn nearly got beat by Georgia State, which is pathetic. Yeah. It's same as Wisconsin. That box score is showing a terrible side for Notre Dame against Wisconsin. Georgia State did dirty because they let up 2 touchdowns in the final 45 seconds, and Auburn beat them 34-24. Georgia State was winning that game all the way up till the last 45 seconds. So shout out Georgia State. I mean, I don't even think I ever knew they were like an FBS team. I don't even know if they are, but they took Auburn to the freaking last little bit there. Wanted to give them a shout out. And if you guys have any games
I think their coach got canned after that too. I'm pretty sure at Georgia State.
Really? I know it was either Georgia State or Georgia Southern. A player,
one of the two.
Jumped up on the. Did you see the one? The player jumped up on the bus.
I saw that on TikTok.
He got a freaking beer tossed up to him, shocking a beer, and then they suspended him for the next week. Yeah. That's such bullshit. No one even hears of this school, and he just got you like so many eyes on your school just from doing that, just from going viral. Like, who knows? Who knows?
First of all, who let him surf the bus anyways?
Yeah. That's
how is that not going to get it? Yeah.
That's like refs not being held accountable, right? I mean, come on. And so I wanted to shout out Georgia State. If you guys have any other games you want to shout out from the weekend, I know, shout out Bach. I feel bad for my buddy Bach. His team got fucking clobbered by fucking Texas. I mean, that hurts. I like felt pain for my buddy Bach. So shout out to you, dude. If you guys, Jake, Texas, if you have any games you want to talk about,
Preston, I want to talk about the Hogs, man. The Hogs playing down in Jerry World. It's funny how A&M, goes and talks all this shit on Texas about losing to Arkansas, and then the cult known as the Aggies down there in College Station ends up losing to the Hogs too there in Jerry World. So it's just a big evolving circle of shit in the state of Texas when it comes to football.
For sure.
And I'm so glad to see it because I hate both of those schools with a passion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super happy for Arkansas doing that, beating Texas. Obviously, everyone loves to see Texas lose. Everyone, if you're not a Longhorn fan, you love to see them lose. And then A&M, just because they're weird, they're weird. You just like to see them get beat, and so
they are a cult. And I will take that. They're the biggest cult in college football, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, and so Jake, what were your thoughts on that game? Because I know you probably got a couple words.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree with Preston too. I think Texas is a little cultish. They have some weird traditions of like they burn candles at midnight and do some weird things.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, A&M by a country mile is the biggest cult ever. I mean, the whole ring thing, there's just so many things about A&M.
The midnight yell, all that stuff. It's like, come on, guys.
They have yell leaders, like everything. Their fight song is from like 100 years ago that they've never touched. There's just a lot of things that is just super weird. But I did say last week that if Arkansas were to pull this game off, I'd be ready to call them legit. I think Arkansas is legit. And so, getting that win the way that they did, like that was a great win. And we're interested to see. I think, honestly, shout out to Dylan. He told me to watch the documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently that Arkansas coach, there's a lot of crazy things about him and like how he loves his players and people just run through doors for him and stuff. And I mean, that has to be
Oklahoma product too from out in El Reno. So shout out to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where's that documentary? Because I'm going to go watch that. Actually, just let me know and maybe I'll put it in the link too so everyone else can go check it out.
So, We'll see what happens with Arkansas. I think it's one of the greatest turnarounds in college sports.
They have a huge test this weekend.
And the next 2 weeks, they have Georgia this week and then Ole Miss next week. Their schedule is crazy. If they make it through this next 2 games, Arkansas does with the wins, then I think they'll be probably in the top 4. They have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember because
2 years ago,
Georgia. 2 years ago, they lost to North Texas 45-17. That was not that long ago that North Texas beat them. And North Texas, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's one thing to lose to North Texas, but they got the doors blown off by North Texas. So to come from there to where they are now is unbelievable.
That was kind of mean, Jake.
You lose to North Texas by 40 points. I'm sorry, or 30 points, whatever. You lose to them by 30 points, and you deserve to get bashed.
I think that's mean horrible. To North Texas. That's
no,
like Eli
no
Manning saying that assuming a quarterback's from Dartmouth because he sucks.
I think the Arkansas fans, Fayetteville is a top-notch college town out there in Arkansas, and they have some good fans out there, and it's just great to see Arkansas playing the way they are after, sitting back when I was younger, watching the Darren McFadden years, seeing them do all that. And now they're finally back to competing at a high level with a coach who seems to be good. I know I listened to him on Pardon My Take a couple of weeks ago. He seems like an interesting guy, a cool guy. So shout out to Arkansas. Is absolutely happy for them.
I think this test with Georgia this weekend is going to be a huge thing. They're a plus 18 favorite. 18 and a half favorite. I say that because I'm actually taking them. I'm just going to put that one out there right now. I'm taking Arkansas 18 and a half plus 18 and a half because
I thought about that one.
I think they're the real deal too. I think and like this, obviously this will tell. I mean, if they can't cover 18 and a half, we understand it'll be against Georgia. They're probably one of the best teams in a long time. But if they do cover it, then they're like legit, they're fucking legit because that Georgia defense is not for show. And so if Arkansas even puts up with them, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. Because if they can handle Georgia and then the following week beat Ole Miss, which is another top 10, top 15 team. I don't know what they are this week.
I think they're ranked number one offense in the country.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, so if Arkansas, if Arkansas just puts up a fight with Georgia and then goes in next week I don't know, they're at home or on the road, but even if they just beat or if they beat Ole Miss, they're still gonna be talked about as like a legit contender for the playoffs and definitely a top New York City bowl game.
Check out this schedule. This week at Georgia, next week at Ole Miss, the week after that versus Auburn at home.
Auburn's
two top
frauds.
20 or 3 top 25 matchups the next 3 weeks for Arkansas. So if they make it through that,
Auburn is ranked, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 22 right now. But then after Auburn, they get basically a bye playing Arkansas Pine Bluff. Then they at home versus Mississippi State. Probably should be able to handle that one. At LSU, at Alabama. So they have a pretty decent schedule.
They wrap up the season with Bama.
Well, they wrap up the season with Mizzou, but they have this is Arkansas. They
Arkansas.
They play at Bama the second to last week of the season. So
that's tough. That's gonna be tough because that's late in the season. That's Bama. Like they're ready to, they're playoff ready basically right then. That's going to be tough. But you know what, Jake, I kind of agree. I think they are, somewhat. This is going to be the real test. I think next week we'll be able to say Arkansas is legit or they're not legit.
Yeah,
a damn freaking thing turned off. So it's going to be a real test. I think they are legit. I'm taking Arkansas 18 and a half. I don't know if any of you guys are taking that, but I am. If there's not any other games you guys want to talk about, we'll just get right into our picks. And shout out Ohio State. I mean, they crushed Akron. So, I mean, good for them, I guess.
As they should.
There's questionable, decision-making or not decision-making, but like, is CJ Stroud going to be starting again? I say keep starting him. I mean, let's just keep running this and see how he does. He hasn't really done anything too terrible. So let's just keep it going. And so, that's our 3 teams that we've talked about. I don't know if you guys want anything else and before we get into our picks. If not, we'll get right into our picks before we talk about some NFL.
Yep, I'm ready to go.
Good.
Jake, you go first.
No, let me go last. Preston, go first.
All right, let me go first because I've already got one out there. I got Arkansas 18 and a half plus 18 and a half at Georgia. I think, Jake, you said that's game day.
Yes.
This next game, I was on one side, and right before the show, I went with what I knew was the correct decision. I was going to take Michigan +1 against Wisconsin on the road at Wisconsin. I knew right before the show, I knew that I can't do that. And Wisconsin -1. I don't know why I was going to take Michigan. Just for some reason, I was like, Michigan +1. That's kind of, they might beat them. Wisconsin's coming off a tough loss. I can't do it. Wisconsin -1. BYU, this might be the easiest one of the weekend. This is pretty much a lock. I mean, this is BYU 8.5, minus 8.5 at Utah State. Utah State got their freaking doors beaten off. And then basically a freaking gripe pick or something like that, if you will. I'm taking Syracuse plus 4.5 against Florida State. Fuck Florida State.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so my picks, I lied to you guys. I'm definitely taking Arkansas plus 18.5 over Georgia. I think that one, it's a tough game. It's at Georgia, but like we mentioned, I like the Hogs this year.
I think just 18.5 is too much.
Yeah, I think they can keep it within that. I think Vegas is kind of disrespecting Arkansas.
If it was 10.5, I would have been questionable.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then another one I'm taking just because the number, it's just one of those numbers that I feel like I have to jump on. It's Cincinnati minus 2.5 versus Notre Dame. I just think that's one of those numbers that is so close that you just have to take that because that's just a field goal. So
you're taking Cincy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have taken that one too. If I picked that game, I was thinking Cincy as well.
And then this one is probably the easiest pick that I'll have all year. I'm taking under 52.5 on the OU K-State game because OU's not going to score any points, and I'm fairly confident that defense will be able to hold K-State to a low point total as well. So
that's actually a good pick. I actually really like that pick. Jake, on to you. You requested last, so you get the freaking stage, my man.
It's going to be interesting. So I think the thing is Arkansas, I think all three of us picked Arkansas plus 18.5. That's just a crazy spread for seeing how good Arkansas has been playing. And Georgia, like their defense is unbelievable, but their offense is always kind of good, but not great. We'll see how that works out. So Arkansas plus 18.5. I always like to take a Thursday, Friday night game. That way I can put a unit down and then catch my units on the back half. Yeah. So I'm taking Tulsa minus 4.5 versus Houston. That's a super sketchy game, but I like Tulsa's defense. They've been playing good. Their record does not reflect how good Tulsa, I believe, is. I think it's the thing with OU. Everybody's the offensive line, but you have to understand that the brothers play for West Virginia, and that defensive line for West Virginia is one of the best in the country. And I believe the same with Tulsa. They have a couple All-American on that D line, and we'll see how Houston is. So we'll see. We'll see about that game. But minus 4.5 for Tulsa. Now I am currently in the shed and it's a little hot out here. So I have to take I was at the Oklahoma State game. I watched Skylar Thompson attend. I watched him in pregame throw a couple balls. They looked great. I know Kleinman after the game said, well, it's not his arm, it's his leg that's hurt. But I believe Skylar Thompson will play against OU. So I'm taking K-State plus 10.5, and this should be the best pick. I called it last year and the year before that. Let's go 3 in a row. This pick has been beautiful for me on this show, and it's come to fruition.
Jake, I
hope that this ends this year.
Jake, I love it. Since we already all have the Arkansas game, I'm not going to ride with you on the K-State game. I would love to, though. But I do want K-State to win. I got them. I'm repping that purple back here. I hope it comes through on the camera and through this little stream. So, because I love K-State this weekend. I really think they're even going to win the damn thing. I might actually on the side put some money on it on my own for the money line because I really do like them to win.
Just know if OU pulls this off big, I'm shitting down both of y'all's throats next week so hard.
Hey, it can't be any worse than my own team losing, but at least we lost to Oregon. Oregon's a top 3 team now.
Worst case scenario, Kleinman's 1-2.
Yeah.
He's 2-1. You mean?
Fair enough.
Well, he'd be 2-1. Yeah. He will be 2-1. OU be 1-2. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's our picks. We'll just get right into the NFL here. All right, let's get right into it. As you can see, we had to take a break real quick. We had to switch some stuff up. And let's talk NFL. Preston, have the floor. Jake, I know we had to cut your hot mic. You were opening the show right. We weren't getting back into it.
Yeah.
Preston, real quick, go on. Or actually, Jake, finish what you're saying. Then Preston, floor is yours.
like I said, the NFL talk, like I didn't watch much NFL this weekend. I watched the Ryder Cup. Team USA had to beat the world down, show who runs this world. So, Ryder Cup was big thing. I did watch a little bit of the NFL. Basically, my main points of NFL right now, I know that Denver was like a 5-win total, I think. Like you could bet 5 wins over under. We're undefeated at this point. Granted, our opposing teams that we've played are a collective 0-9. So I don't know if we're going to go 5-0 and then lose every game for the rest of the year or what's going to happen. But I will say, shout out Preston, those Chargers.
Yeah, Preston, floor is yours, Chargers.
You're damn right.
What a fucking win.
All you Kansas City Chief fans out there can suck my Charger dick, because we went into Arrowhead and Justin Herbert threw all over the Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, the next coming of Jesus Christ in a football jersey, turned the ball over when it mattered most. He can suck it. Kansas City can suck it. Let's go Chargers.
You know what's crazy? I saw since since week 12 of last season, Patrick Mahomes has like a 77 quarterback rating, which is actually kind of, it was like 15th.
I think it was 20th or something like that. Week 14. Yeah.
No, it wasn't the second worst. It was like the 15th or 20th ranked QBR, but it was like down there, like if you think 30 quarterbacks.
Maybe it was just like the top 20 and he was like the second out of that or something.
I can I retweeted that. I can pull it up and get it for you.
But I mean, dude, a quarterback rating of 77. I know it's kind of a bogus stat in some ways, but like, that's kind of bad if you think about Patrick Mahomes.
It was actually number 21 in the league. He's a 71.8, just above the backup for the Broncos, Drew Lock, 71.3. Not to, number 3 in the league, 90.3 is Justin Herbert, but you guys knew that anyways. So
since that time?
Since week 14 last year.
Dude, you know what I've been saying? You are going to be the bane of my existence, because the Giants should have taken Justin Herbert and they didn't. I will never understand it. But you are going to be the bane of my existence. And the thing is I know it and I respect it, because my light went out. The freaking Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. Like it's clear. It was clear. I don't know. The Giants, you and the Giants are the bane of my existence. This is like finally the time where Giants fans are starting to admit, myself included, like, yeah, we suck. Dude, we're a joke. Like, we're becoming a joke. We have the same record as the Jets over the last 5 years. That's embarrassing. Why couldn't they do one thing right? Just take Justin Herbert. No, Preston, of course, the universe had to have it in existence where we'd end up meeting and having a podcast and a sports show together, where now he's on the opposite side of me for how many years? 20 years is Justin Herbert. And the way medicine's going, Justin Herbert's going to be playing for fucking 40 years. At this point, he's going to break Tom Brady's record. Justin Herbert is going to be the future of the NFL. He is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I hate it.
I love it. I love it so much. I love it.
So that, I will say though, that's going to be an all-time moment of the second you start talking about the Giants, your light was like, absolutely not. You don't bring me into this. It just was like, I'm quit. Like your light just was like, absolutely. Second it heard the word Giants, it was like, we're out. Like that's an all-time moment.
One of the best running backs of the generation, just wasting away up there in New York. What a pitiful organization.
I mean, Mara, the owner, got booed at the Giants game because Eli was having some ceremony and the owner got booed. So shout out to the Detroit Lions. They also booed their owner, the Ford lady. They understand what they're doing to Calvin Johnson and they have a curse on them. So shout out to those fans booing the owners. Shout out to all fans booing the owners if the owner sucks. And guess what? New York Giants owner sucks.
Yeah.
And we need a whole
hand up. They showed the Spanos family on the camera during the game Sunday. They're the Chargers owners. I gave them the double bird because fuck them. The Chargers should still be in San Diego.
You have Justin Herbert. Don't worry about where you're playing. It just matters he's on the field. And boy, I'm like, that took energy out of me just thinking about the Giants. They lost to the Falcons. I knew it was going to be a possibility, but the way they lost was just the Falcons. by a field goal.
I'm trying to find that final. Yeah, 17-14. Yikes. Hey, but to be fair, Daniel Jones was the passing leader for that game, 266 yards. And Saquon had a whopping 51 yards rushing. So, hey,
the thing is,
still, you know,
I wish it was more Daniel Jones's fault because he's not that great. And we could have had Justin Herbert. It's just they're so stupid. But I have to they're my team. I'm not like, it's just how many more years. At least I'm not a Jets fan. They're always going to be the worst because it's just like the goddamn Jets, you know. Like they're the worst, but we're going there. At least we have a little bit recent history, but it's getting back there, you know. It's a decade now. It's been a decade. We shit on the Cowboys fans for being 2 decades with fucking short-term memory loss. We're about right there, you know, we're halfway there. And if we keep it up, we're gonna become Cowboys fans. Sad, depressed, and delusional.
Yikes.
We're already sad and depressed. I do not want the Giants fan base to become delusional. I know I'm not. I'm hand up. They suck. They fucking suck. They need to trade Saquon. I know that sucks to say. They need to trade Saquon and just get picks and redo this whole thing. But they need to do that like with a new regime. They can't do it with the GM that's involved right now. The head coach, maybe Joe Judge can stick around, but like they need a new regime. It's just not working up there. And
is Gettleman still the GM up there?
Yeah. So. Get them out. We got a big weekend coming up this weekend.
Well, and another thing I was going to mention that you mentioned earlier was that kick return in that Jacksonville, Arizona game. Jacksonville actually kept it close there for a little bit against Arizona, who is I think Arizona's going to end up being one of the better teams in the league when it's all said and done. I agree. You know, I mean, 31-19 was the final, but through half they were kept it close and into the third quarter, and then Arizona pulled away. I think Urban Meyer might just be a little in over his head there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, you know, it's only a matter of time before USC brings him the bag. It really is. I mean, why? First off, if you're USC, you have the bag. He will go. You just need to bring it to him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to, I mean, if they give him an offer that he can't turn down, he isn't going to turn it down. Because it's like, and guess what? If he doesn't turn it down and he does go there, USC's back. Like they are now a legit contender right off the bat, especially 5 years in or 4 years in. Once he has his recruits there,
yeah,
which I think he would do phenomenally.
Give it a couple of years on that, and I would agree with you, but I don't think immediately they become a contender just because.
Not like year one.
Yeah.
Although I think it's possible. But the second year he's there, and definitely the third and fourth year continuously getting better. I mean, it's gonna if it happens, like USC's legit. And they will become even more legit as time goes on with him. Obviously, it's theoretical. If he doesn't go there, it's not going to happen. Yeah. But if he does, they're legit. Jags, they looked kind of good. I don't know if they're going to win at all this week. I do have a parlay where I need them to lose at least one more game because I have the Cincinnati Bengals -7.5 in this parlay against them. So I do need.
And the
them
NFL, I don't know what their issue is. Was just giving us stinkers of Thursday night games. Because how many weeks in a row every single year do they give us like the worst game of the week on Thursday night where it's the only game on? Like this week, it's Jacksonville at Cincinnati. No one wants to watch that game.
I think in terms of Jacksonville being bad, I think Cincinnati is actually good. I think they're going to be somewhat, legit. I think they're going to be somewhat legit in terms of, how they have been. I think they're going to be way better than people think. And so that's going to be fun to watch. So just if they can do it, put a beating on Jacksonville, it'll be cool to watch. But if it's a shitty
Jamar
game,
Chase, turns out Jamar Chase is actually very good and can catch NFL footballs. So
and he can catch passes from the guy that he was already catching passes from before. So he's already proven that he can catch that guy's ball anytime it's thrown anywhere on the field, as no matter what. Like he's just going to catch that damn ball. He's good. He's going to be great. If they can get a line to like really solidify Joe Burrow's protection, then that'll be great. What other games are going into this weekend? Fucking Brown. Who's the real deal? Browns are fucking real deal this year. Yeah. I think this is finally the year where like unless something happens crazy in the playoffs, like I think they're going to go to the AFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Yeah, I mean,
because do you see
year 2 or 3
agents?
with the new coach?
Well, right, dude, the amount of free agents they have.
Yeah.
Like they have something insane this year, and then like they have like 20 something free agents this year, and then like another 20 next year. So it's like in 2 years, the whole team is like gone, basically.
This is the end of Baker's contract. This year is it next year?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But
I can't remember how long rookie contracts are.
They solidified Jadeveon Clowney this past offseason. That was a huge pickup for their defense. I mean, that defense had 9 sacks against my guy, Justin Fields, out there in the Bears land, Chicago land. I don't know what they're doing. Matt Nagy sucks. That was terrible to see Justin Fields get hit 9 times. But that Browns team is the fucking real deal. I mean, that defense is unreal. That defense is like what you think Arizona would be with J.J. Watt and what's the other guy? Everyone else on that defense.
Yeah,
they're the real deal. I can't remember who I was thinking of, but they're the real deal. Baker Mayfield's legit. Odell's. I mean, I know Jarvis Landry was out this past weekend. If he can get healthy and Odell and him can be on the field at the same time, I mean, they're just going to be lethal because they're already lethal if only one of them's on there. I just think the Browns are finally. This is like the year where it's them Browns. They're Browns going to Browns. I think this is year where the Browns come out of their shell and become like the Browns that we want them to be. Everyone wants them to be. They've been the underdog for so long. I think they're finally like the favorite.
Yeah, and then another interesting game that I'm interested in watching is Baltimore at Denver, just to see if Denver is the real deal this year. I know their defense is good. Can Teddy Bridgewater, put it together against a good opponent? I think that'll be an interesting game to watch. Because if Denver ends up
on Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult week in, week out when you got to put your faith in Teddy Two Gloves and watch the fucking chosen one, Drew Lock, be sitting on the bench like, I don't know what's happening, but it's like, it's kind of like your parents fighting and you're like in the other room and you're like, maybe 2 Christmases. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
But I mean, Jake, you've never been a supporter of Teddy Two Gloves. You've always dogged on him. I don't think I have receipts on the shows past, but off the record, you've dogged on them.
I didn't hate Teddy when he played at Louisville, and then he took one massive hit when he played like Florida, and then it just kind of went downhill for me from there. I mean, Teddy's playing good. And like I said, we were projected to be terrible, and right now we're undefeated. So it's a weird, we're kind of in this Goldilocks zone of like, maybe we are good.
But that whole, I was actually trying to mention it earlier, that AFC West, I mean, with Kansas City sitting at 2-2, bottom of the division, and the favorite to come out of that
excuse
division.
me, they're 1-2, sir.
Or 1-2. Whatever. I mean, they're fucking 2 losses. They're at the bottom of that division, basically. Them Raiders, though. Raiders look legit. Raiders look legit. They're more legit than the Broncos.
What?
Hey, they are.
Let's see. The Raiders are one of those teams every year. They're going to start good, and towards the end of the year, they're just going to suck ass, and then everyone's going to remember, oh yeah, they are the Raiders.
They are the real deal right
Carr
now.
Isn't any good. Well, they got a big matchup coming up this Monday night, so we'll see about that one as they travel to Los Angeles in a division matchup. So,
do you think it's going to be a close game?
Yeah, I think it will be, just because the Chargers run defense. Oh, let's see. I can look it up.
Well, another big game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up to New England. Tom Brady's first return to New England. Yeah. Belichick with that new quarterback, young quarterback. That's Tom Brady 2.0. You got that spread?
It's not on the ESPN website.
Not on there. It's whatever. But you think it's going to be like a field goal? Or touchdown,
something like that. I mean, just because the Chargers' run defense has not been up to par this season, and if a healthy Josh Jacobs, he should be able to do good. And it also depends if Brian Bulaga is able to play on the offensive line, because Storm Norton, bless his soul, the dude can't block a cold from coming in. It's terrible, but that offense is going to get theirs. They've proven it. They're going to get theirs. It's just a matter of, can that defense stop Derek Carr and the Raiders?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the Bucs and New England Nets Sunday Night Football. That's going to be an awesome game.
You forget it's also a return game for Gronk as well.
Yeah, Gronk too. Yeah, both of them. That's a huge thing. I think it's going to be fun to see like the hype for it, if you will, leading into the game. That's fun to watch. I've seen a couple clips come out that are hyping it up, those, and they're fun. Shout out Boston Connor on the Pat McAfee show. He tweeted out something. He's like, I can't handle this. And that video was fucking like, to see from a non-Patriots fan, knowing how a Patriots fan must feel. It's funny to watch, and it's fun to see them squirm, in their little boots. That's a, and
I'm glad that got put on a Sunday nights, or, even if it would have got put on a Monday night, I'm glad it got put on by itself so that we can see, because I'm sure New England has some stuff planned for Tom Brady coming back and all that. So that'll be interesting to see on Sunday night.
I agree 100%. I want to throw out the parlay I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to work on something with this show. I'm going to toss out parlays that I'm doing. I was thinking of naming it rabbit hole parlay or something, or rabbit hole parlay. So if you got any ideas out there, let me know on Twitter at the Bake is here. Rabbit hole parlay or rabbit parlay or something like that. I'll just do a parlay. They have to be 3 or more underdogs on there, or 75%. I think I told you guys 75% underdogs. I don't know if I did 75% underdogs on this one, because this is a parlay I just created, but going forward, it's going to be a 75% underdog parlay. So this is not a rabbit hole parlay. This is just a different one, but let's go next week. Let's do a rabbit hole parlay of 75% or more dogs. It doesn't have to be, it's not going to be for the show's record. So 75% dogs. So 3 out of 4 picks.
You just want to do that NFL only and do picks for college football?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Rabbit hole parlays for NFL. We're not going to do a record. It's not competition. We're just going to see how it goes, and, see if we can get some traction on like Twitter, and see if other people want to join in on doing this. If you want to do 4 picks, do 4. 3 of the 4 have to be dogs. So they have to be, +5 or plus money line on the spread. If you want to do 10 and 7 of them are, 7 of them, I guess 8 of them are dogs. If you want to do 20 picks, so on and so forth, just 75-ish%, majority dogs. Yeah. Let's do majority dogs and parlay whatever you want together for NFL picks. Let's do that going into next week. There'll be a fun way to introduce a segment to this. And I also got another segment I want to do after I tell you guys what these picks are. I got Cincinnati -7.5 against the Jags. I got Detroit +3. I think they're going to be a team that takes most of their games right down to the wire, but they're just never going to win any of them. They're against Chicago, and that's why I'm taking them.
Yeah,
Chicago sucks.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Chicago? Or who's going to be starting at quarterback?
100%, exactly. So I got them. Titans -7.5 against the Jets. You just take, if the Jets are playing, you just take you just fade the Jets. It's the easiest thing. Browns -1.5 against Minnesota. I think the Browns are going to blow them out by 10. Denver.
Yeah, that seems like a small number.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I would have understood like 3.5 or 5.5. But 1.5 for the Browns, that's kind of disrespectful. I know Minnesota took Arizona down to the wire, but I think the Browns are just a totally different team than Arizona. I think the Browns are they're explosive. They're the real deal. That defensive line is insane. It's going to be an awesome matchup with Dalvin Cook, though. Yeah. Denver 1 against Baltimore. Packers -7 against Pittsburgh. I think Packers win that game easily. I don't think Pitt's great. I don't know if TJ Watt is playing. Buccaneers -6 against New England. Panthers +5.5 against Dallas. Shout out Joe. And that's the parlay I'm doing. That I don't remember what the plus, whatever it was, but that's a 8-team parlay. I think it is 8-team parlay, and we'll see what we're doing. So next week we'll do a rabbit hole parlay, rabbit parlay, whatever. I'm going to put out a poll of those 3, I think, or if you guys have ideas, let me know. And especially you guys watching and listening, if you guys have ideas, hit me up on Twitter at the Bake is here, at rabbit hole. Let me know what you think we should do for this hashtag, or this, this kind of a chain bet for this NFL segment we're going to do. Let me know what you guys think. And another idea I have with the NBA season coming right around the corner is I'm going to do a pick every night of the OKC Thunder, or every OKC Thunder game. I'm going to either pick the spread, I'm going to either pick the money line, or I'm going to pick the over under, or I might do 2 of those 3. But I'm going to pick a pick for every game of the OKC Thunder game. I might not pick them to win or anything, but I'm just going to pick each of their games. And I think it's going to be like Thunder picks or something. I'll create another hashtag for that, and we'll do a segment for that. If you guys want to join in on that, you're more than welcome to, whether it just be on Twitter, tweeting it out, or doing a video or something. I'm probably going to do a video every day, whether it be on Instagram. I don't know. We'll see. It's work in progress. You guys let me know what you want to see, but I'm definitely going to do an OKC Thunder pick every game this season. And do you guys want to talk about any more games for the NFL?
I do kind of want to mention that Big Ben is basically needs to retire like a year ago. I will say that I have a buddy that's a Steelers fan. I have some family that are Steelers fans, and I've been trying to tell them for a few years now that Big Ben is trash. They haven't believed me, but I think I might be able to get them to come around after the first 3 weeks of this season, because that dude is awful. He needs to just hop on his motorcycle and ride off into the sunset.
I think they're scared because you know who they have in backup, right? And they don't want to go there just yet. And
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't either. Jake, would you?
I mean, I'd go Mason Rudolph, but that's just me.
All right. Well, you might be the only one in America that thinks that, Jake. You really might. So I don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. They got to figure something out, because they're just not going to win any games if TJ Watt's not playing and if that defense isn't performing, because that offense really hasn't done much, which is surprising. Najee Harris, you'd think I don't actually know his stats, but they're not winning. And you'd think with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they'd be winning by winning and running and defense, and they're just not. So I don't know about them. Jets, they suck. Panthers, I don't know. Are they real? Like, Panthers might be fucking around. Yeah. Saints kind of suck. I think I saw Barcelona Mincy say that he thinks the Giants are going to beat the Saints. That was either Mintz or someone. I was watching some show earlier. And so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if the Saints are real.
I want to say one thing too about how long do you think it'll take Philadelphia to figure out that Jalen Hurts can't throw a deep ball?
I think this past week they figured it out. I think against Dallas they figured it out. That was
they have Kansas City this week, so we shall see on that. But I mean, hey, look, I've been on the Jalen Hurts is no good train since he stepped foot on campus in Norman. He can control the offense, but he's not going to go out there and light you up deep downfield. He can complete the short stuff. He can run the ball, but he's not going to go out there and throw the ball way downfield like these teams are wanting to do these days.
He's just not an NFL quarterback. He's a good college quarterback, but maybe not. And I think that's
great college quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the thing where back to the college football where OU is currently sitting with Caleb Williams. I think we've seen enough of Caleb Williams that we know Caleb can run the ball. We just don't know if he can throw the ball like Spencer Rattler. So
I got one more question for you guys, and then we're going to wrap up this show. It's kind of mainly for you, Preston, but Jake, I want to get your take on this. I had this thought today before the show. Is Lincoln Riley a polished Tom Herman? Is he? Is he ever going to accomplish anything at OU?
I mean, he's made it to the playoffs, every year, but two. I mean, how many other coaches?
Anything?
Well, yeah, but there's 4 coaches every year that make it to the playoffs. And besides Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban,
Riley, Dabo Swinney, Clemson's done.
Agreed, yeah.
OU's done if they lose to Kansas.
You have to sit here and think also, recruiting wise, Lincoln Riley has a top class for 23 right now. He's got 4 or 5 stars already on board for the 23 class. Right now the offense is sputtering, and that's kind of his deal. But the defense right now is better than it's been in 12 years, something like that, since probably 2008.
Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard this from another fan base before, and they usually say since 2007 or so. So it's not. I mean, this is it's the same blueprint for Texas, but just polished. You guys just are like a little echelon above, because Lincoln Riley inherited that team, and then now all of a sudden it's his team. All of his team play, all of his recruits, and they're kind of not really they're kind of struggling now. Huh? I mean, you tell me, Jake, I want your take.
I mean, dude, well, and I really like the take of like, for years and years, we've heard like, oh, Lincoln's the quarterback whisperer. Oh, he's the quarterback whisperer. All these quarterbacks. Well, it's like, well, I don't know anymore. I mean, I understand that Spencer Rattler, number one recruit in the country. He's got the arm strength, but right now he's not looking like, the Baker Mayfield. I think all of those quarterbacks honestly came really from Kingsbury. I think that Lincoln Riley is closer to a Kingsbury-ish kind of person. But the thing is that it's kind of like Mike Leach, Kingsbury, anything like that. But the thing that Lincoln has got going for him is you're at a 5-star blue blood program getting 5-star recruits. I mean, You take Mike Leach and put him at Alabama or Florida or LSU or USC or something and see what happens with him. He's always been a dog, always in a trash city getting 3-star recruits. So the thing is I believe that Lincoln is closer to that. I think he's calmed down a lot of his stuff because of the defensive prowess. You have to play what you have. But, I find it interesting that all these people come out and were praising Lincoln so early in his career and all these quarterbacks that were transferred in. And then now he's got his golden boy, the dude that he's risen up from the ground, and he's not playing well. But we'll see what happens with Lincoln. I mean, I still think as of right now, there's not too many coaches better that they could really get. You don't want to fall into a situation like where, like the thing is, like Shark at Texas. I think Shark's a good coach too, but Shark could take a big risk, Shark could fall off very fast. It's one of those.
Back to the question, though, Jake, real quick. Is Lincoln Riley a polished Tom Herman? Or just a polished any Texas coach?
Honestly, I think Tom Herman, polished Tom Herman. He's a little bit better than Tom Herman. I think here's the thing, too, is a lot of people will trash Tom Herman, but Tom Herman was successful for most of his career. At Houston, he was very successful. He came into Texas in that toxic culture and kind of eroded everything. But Texas was still – the thing about Texas is that it just doesn't make sense. Up is down, down is up. 2 is 5. None of it makes sense. You have the highest recruiting class. They have everything going for you. 1 week, you blow out Texas Tech by 70. Or you blow out Rice, and then you just get stomped on these games that it doesn't make any sense. It's the strangest thing in the world where Texas is the hottest and coldest team. But we will see this year coming up, the Red River game, Texas versus OU will be very interesting.
Yeah, it will be. Preston, real quick, you want any comments on the Lincoln Riley's polished Tom Herman? Do you want any final comments? And I'm going to wrap this show up before we get kicked off of here.
Yeah, what I'll say is that Texas, basically as a history, they're not as stable as what OU is. And I think that also plays into Lincoln Riley being, who he is. And your point on him being a Kingsbury / Leach, agree to it to an extent. Lincoln Riley does run the ball more than those guys. Lincoln Riley's more of a 50-50 type guy when it comes to running and passing, except this year. God knows why. It's the offensive line more than likely. But I don't know. I mean, I personally, obviously, I'm a fan of OU. I think Lincoln Riley, there's nothing wrong. But, other people have their own opinions. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. Real quick, give everyone your picks again from, your picks again from college football. I'm going to go first. Arkansas plus 18.5, Wisconsin -1, BYU 8.5, -8.5, and Syracuse plus 4.5. That's my 4 picks. I think I'm going to go 3-0. I definitely get 1 win. I think BYU's lock. Jake, go ahead.
Obviously, I think all of us, we had Arkansas plus 18.5, Tulsa -4.5, and then obviously the K-State plus 10.5. I think I'm going to go 1 and 2. I think Kansas State's going to hit the other 2. A little sketchy. More confident about this than any other pick.
Preston.
Yeah, again, like you said, everyone had Arkansas plus 18.5. I had Cincy minus 2.5 versus Notre Dame. I just think that line is too small not to bet on. Then this one, if I had to lock a pick, I would lock this one under 52.5 OU versus K-State. I think the Sooners get it done, but you know me, I'm an OU fan, so I'm never going to pick the Sooners to lose. So
fair enough. All right, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards. Follow us on Twitter. Like I said, let us know what you want us to use for that hashtag or for that segment. Rabbit hole parlay, whatever it is for the NFL segments. Let us know what your picks are. Let us know if Pitt State won, my guy. And until next week, follow us on Twitter, actually. Follow us on Twitter at The Big Seer, at PrestonPool405, at Jake Cart. Jake, you did a great job opening the show. I'm closing it out. Till next week. See ya.